Hey everyone, and welcome back to another devlog for Spellbent. If this is your first time here, be sure to like and subscribe if you like what you see, and comment down below to let me know what you think about the game so far. It really helps the YouTube algorithm point people in my direction. Last week, we looked at how I randomly generate dungeons, so if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and click on the card in the top right to go watch that one. Then come on back and see what I've been up to this week. At the end of the last episode, I promised I would be working on a super secret feature that I feel makes my game unique, and that's what I did. So let's go back and see what I got up to. Hey everyone, it is Wednesday, November 3rd, and today I'm going to be working on something cool. If we pull up our trusty goal chart and look at the bottom left, we see this shadowy goal here that I teased last week. So what is it, and why is it so important? Before I answer those questions, let's first talk about the setting of the game and the world map, and how one of the primary game loops for our game will function. When you start a new game file, you're going to start here at the center of a randomly generated map in an ancient abandoned crossroads town that has since been occupied by a merchant, his family, and the merchant's apprentice. That's you. As the merchant's apprentice, it's your job to search for new resources and goods for the merchant to sell. So he'll send you out on expeditions to specific regions of the map to fulfill that job. As you're out on these missions gathering resources, you'll also come across little side quests that when completed will result in people moving to your town. These expeditions will also drive the story of the game. The more expeditions you complete, the more your town will grow, and as your town gets larger, it will start to attract more interesting merchants who specialize in more specific things. These merchants will also be able to send you on smaller expeditions that won't necessarily drive the story, but will reward you with new crafting recipes and other things that will be a huge help on your journey. So long story short, the game loop is get an expedition or two, explore the regions you're assigned by the merchants looking for new and exciting items and exploring dungeons, and then return to town to unlock new rewards, and then wash, rinse, and repeat. Or you can just go exploring on your own and discover all that on your own, but the main storyline will be driven by expeditions from the main merchant. So why did we need to know all this before we talked about our super top secret feature? Well, because these expeditions aren't just short, simple quests. They could take you to the furthest corners of the map, and that could take multiple days or even weeks. So to prevent you from having to trek back to your base at the center of the map every night to avoid falling prey to the dangers of the night or passing out from exhaustion or whatever, you're going to take your base with you in the form of an interdimensional portal to the underway, magically contained in an old traveler's chest. From a game design perspective, that lets us make the map much bigger and allows the expeditions to be much less constrained by factors like time to completion and distance from the home base. And from a gameplay perspective, we just think it sounds like a lot of fun to be able to take your base around with you wherever you go. So that brings us to what I'm going to be working on this week. By the end of the week, I want to have a functional prototype of the magical chest. So for that, I need three things. First, I need it to be able to transport me to a different scene when I interact with the magical chest. For this, I can piggyback off the functionality I put in place for the dungeons last week, but this time it won't be taking me to a different random map every time. It'll be taking me to the same location each time, and changes made to that location will need to be persisted in the save game file. Second, I need to be able to pick up the chest and place it on any free grid space, and also prevent the player from placing the chest on already occupied spaces. I have some ideas for this involving some sort of placement grid that shows the player what spaces are available and which ones aren't. And then when the player clicks on a space, it'll assign the chest, but we'll see where I go with that. Third, when the chest is picked up, it needs to follow the player from place to place, always ready to be placed down. I'll also need to prevent the player from being able to go into a dungeon with the chest, because if the chest was placed in one of the random dungeon chunks, the chest would be lost once the player left the dungeon due to the ephemeral nature of the dungeon chunks. Alright, so that was a little bit longer of an explanation of my plans for the week than usual, but this feature is a lot more intricately involved with my plans for the larger vision of the game than anything I've worked on so far. So sorry for how long that was, but for now, I'm going to dive into making this happen, and I will see you once I'm done. All right, welcome back. I've made as much progress on this as I can for the week, and while I didn't 100% reach my goals for the traveling base, I got really close. So let's dive in and take a look. The first goal was pretty easy. Like I said the other day, I was able to pretty much just follow the same pattern as the dungeons, with a small difference of taking me to a persistent map chunk rather than the ephemeral ones. For the second goal, I was able to get that one really close to done. I can pick up and place the chest anywhere that is available, with the small exception that the player could place it in some places they shouldn't, as the game only knows that the object is occupying this grid space here. I'll have to add the dimensions of each object to my game object dictionary so I can reference that when needing to know how much space they occupy. I'll also need to animate the transition from following the player to being placed. And for my third goal, I have been able to successfully get the chest to follow the player around as they move. This works pretty much as you'd expect. The further you move from the chest, the more quickly it moves towards you. It could do with some fine tuning, but the general mechanic is working the way I want it to. And that's it. I'm really happy with how everything is turning out, and I'll continue to fine-tune things as I keep prototyping the game. And in the future, we're going to be adding a lot of activities for the player to do down inside the chest, which leads me to what I'll be working on this next week. Now that I have this shadowy goal here done down in the corner, this upcoming week I'm wanting to add some things that you can do with it. I've decided I'm going to build out the framework for the farming system. So in order to do that, I need to add a way for time to pass in the game, including a day-night cycle. After that, I can build the farming system on top of that so the plants can grow over a certain number of days. And for now, I'll probably just get the systems in place to track plant growth and manage everything that goes with that, as well as maybe have a single plant for the player to grow. And hopefully I can get that all done in this upcoming week. If I get that done early, I'll probably just keep adding more chunks to the game to keep adding more variety to the world map. If that sounds cool to you, be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified when I put that video out. If you enjoyed the video today, be sure to give it a like and let me know down in the comments what you liked about it. It really does help a lot. So that's all for this week. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.